यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय 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 प्रभुपाद जय जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतक श्रीमद् हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन संस्थापनाचार्य सेव द होल वर्ल्ड जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्-भागवतम की जय। श्री श्री कृष्ण बलराम की जय। श्री श्री निताय गौरंग की जय। वृंद देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय। निताय गौर प्रेम। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishiki. Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3, Krishna is the source of all incarnations. Text number 8. Tritiyam Rishi Sargam Vai. Tritiyam Rishi Sargam Vai. Tritiyam Rishi Sargam Vai. Devarshitvam Upetya Saha. Devarshitvam Upetya Saha. Devarshitvam Upetya Saha. Tantram Satvatam Achasta. Tantram Satvatam Achasta. Tantram Satvatam Achasta. Naishkarmyam Karmanam Yataha. Naishkarmyam Karmanam Yataha. Naishkarmyam Karmanam Yataha. Tritiyam Rishi Sargam Vai. Devarshitvam Upetya Saha. Tantram Satvatam Achasta. Naishkarmyam Karmanam Yataha. Devarshitvam Upetya Saha. Tantram Satvatam Achasta. Naishkarmyam Karmanam Yataha. Word for meaning. Tritiyam, the third one. Rishi Sargam, the millennium of the rishis. Vai, certainly. Devarshitvam, incarnation of the rishi amongst the demigods. Upetya, having agreed. Saha, he. Tantram, exposition of the Vedas. Satvatam, which is especially meant for devotional service. Achasta, collected. Naishkarmyam, non-fruitive. Karmanam, of work. Yataha, from which. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. In the millennium of the rishis, the personality of Godhead accepted the third empowered incarnation in the form of Devarshi Narada, who is a great sage among the demigods. He collected expositions of the Vedas which deal with devotional service and which inspire non-fruitive action. Please repeat the translation. In the millennium of the rishis, the personality of Godhead accepted the third empowered incarnation in the form of Devarshi Narada, who is a great sage among the demigods. He collected expositions of the Vedas which deal with devotional service and which inspire non-fruitive action. Purport. The great Rishi Narada, who is an empowered incarnation of the personality of Godhead, propagates devotional service all over the universe. All great devotees of the Lord all over the universe and in different planets and species of life are his disciples. Srila Vyasadeva, the compiler of the Srimad-Bhagavatam, is one of his disciples. Narada is the author of Narada Pancharatra, which is the exposition of the Vedas, particularly for the devotional service of the Lord. This Narada Pancharatra trains the karmis or the fruitive workers to achieve liberation from the bondage of fruitive work. The conditioned souls are mostly attracted by fruitive work because they want to enjoy life by sweat of their own brows. The whole universe is full of fruitive workers in all species of life. The fruitive works include all kinds of economic development plans, but the law of nature provides that every action has its resultant reaction, and the performer of the work is bound up by such reactions, good or bad. The reaction of good work is comparative material prosperity, whereas the reaction of bad work is comparative material distress. But material conditions, either in so-called happiness or in so-called distress, are all meant ultimately for distress only. Foolish materialists have no information of how to obtain eternal happiness in the unconditional state. Sri Narada informs these foolish fruitive workers how to realize the reality of happiness. He gives direction to the diseased men of the world, how one's present engagement can lead one to the path of spiritual emancipation. The physician directs the patient to take treated milk in the form of curd for his sufferings from indigestion due to his taking another milk preparation. So the cause of the disease and the remedy of the disease may be the same, but it must be treated by an expert physician like Narada. The Bhagavad-gita also gives the same solution of serving the Lord by the fruits of one's labor that will lead one to the path of Naishkarmya or liberation. Thus ends the Bhakti and the purpose. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is a chapter describing about Krishna, his different incarnations. So Krishna is the source of all incarnations. Krishna is not an incarnation, but Krishna is the origin of all incarnations. So in this chapter, the various incarnations of Krishna have been described. So Krishna comes to this material world. He descends from the spiritual world to this material world for the purpose of establishing dharma. As Krishna says in Bhagavad-gita, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. So to establish dharma, Krishna comes to this material world. And he also comes for the purpose of Shri Krishna Balaram ki jai. So he also comes for the purpose of delivering his devotees, Paritranaya Sadhunam, and destroying the demonic people. Vinashaya cha dushkritam. So that is the main purpose of Krishna coming to this material world. So Krishna expands into unlimited forms. Krishna is one, the Supreme Lord is one, but he expands into many millions of forms. So there are two worlds or two natures. One is the material nature, one is the spiritual nature. So we are in this material world, but actually we are not this material body. We are actually spirit soul. So the spirit soul belongs to the spiritual world. The spiritual world is beyond this material world. So Krishna belongs to the spiritual world. Krishna's body is not made of matter. It is a completely spiritual body. Krishna's body is described as Satchit Ananda Vigraha. A body full of eternity, bliss and knowledge. So originally we are also the spirit soul is also full of eternity, bliss and knowledge. And since we are also actually belonging to the spiritual world, we are also eternal. Like we are not meant for birth and death. But the living entity, that is, we are all part and parcel of Krishna. And when the living entity desires to enjoy this material world, he is given a material body and he takes birth in this material world in different species of life. So there are 84 lakh species of life. So the spirit soul, which actually belongs to the spiritual world, comes to this material world to enjoy material sense gratification. So originally, actually, we are part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna says in Bhagavad-gita, Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha. We are actually Krishna's amshas. And originally, we are full of eternity, bliss and knowledge. But when we want to enjoy independently of God, enjoy independently of Krishna, we are placed in this miserable material world where there is birth, old age, disease and death. Because we have accepted this material body, we desire to enjoy sense gratification. So we have been awarded this material body to enjoy material sense gratification. But this material sense gratification actually cannot satisfy the spirit soul. Because the spirit soul, being part and parcel of Krishna, belongs to Krishna and is meant to serve Krishna. So when the servant desires to become an independent enjoyer, he is put into this material world. So this is not actually our constitutional position to become enjoyer. Our constitutional position is to actually serve Krishna. So we are actually an eternal servant of Krishna. But when we desire, no, I don't want to serve Krishna, I want to become Krishna, I want to become enjoyer, we are placed in this material world. So this material world is created by God for all the living entities who don't want to serve Him. And this material world is also created uh, so that the living entity, he enjoys the sense gratification, but ultimately he can understand what is his real position and again come back to his normal condition. So Krishna, uh, so this material world is actually just like a prison house. In the prison house, you cannot expect any happiness. So this material world is created by God to actually rectify the spirit soul to come to his real senses, to understand what is his real position in relationship with God, and then again go back to his eternal home. So the Lord comes to this material world, he descends from the spiritual world, because Krishna is the father of all living entities. So he feels compassion for the living entities who are actually suffering in this material world. So he comes to this material world and he performs various activities which are full of pleasure, full of bliss, so that the living entities who are in this material world, they become attracted to him and they understand what is the nature of Krishna. And by getting attracted to Krishna, they can understand what is their relationship with Krishna. So Krishna comes, sometimes he comes in his original form, or sometimes he comes in different forms. So the avatar is an avatar is a either Krishna comes in his original form or he comes in various different forms. So Krishna is in his eternal personal abode called Goloka Vrindavana, and Krishna expands into various forms like Balram, then Shankarshana, and then he expands into the Purusha incarnations like the Mahavishnu, Karanadokashai Vishnu, and then Karanadokashai Vishnu creates this material world, and the he 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 puts all the living entities into this material world, and he expands into Garbhodakashai Vishnu. So Mahavishnu, he is sleeping in the Karana ocean, and from his body, from his skin pores, many universes come out, and in each and every universe the Lord again expands as Garbhodakashai Vishnu. So this Garbhodakashai Vishnu is present in every universe, and he he lies down. He actually he fills the universe half with his own perspiration, and he lies down in that ocean. And from his navel, is born a lotus flower, and that is uh, uh, the birth of Brahma from the lotus flower. So like this material creation takes place, and from Brahma, various other living entities are created. They are given material bodies to enjoy their desires, material desires. According to the desires, they are giving the material body. So Krishna, either he comes personally, or he sends his representatives. The purpose is the same, to actually reclaim the conditioned souls in this material world back to where they belong. So in this chapter, there have been described all the various incarnations of Krishna. I think there are 24 main incarnations which have been described. But Krishna's incarnations are actually unlimited. They are like the waves of the ocean. You cannot count the waves of the ocean. So same way, you cannot actually count the number of Krishna's incarnations. So the most prominent ones have been described in this chapter. So previously it was described about the Varaha incarnation, the Lord who came as a boar, and he lifted the earth from the nether regions of the universe. And in this verse, Krishna is in this verse it is described about the incarnation of Devarshi Narada. So Narada is he is an empowered incarnation of Krishna. Means Narada is not Krishna himself. He is not Lord himself, but he is empowered by Krishna, and he is coming for the same purpose. So either Krishna comes personally, or he sends his representative. So Narada is an empowered incarnation of Krishna, and so here he is described as the third incarnation. In the millennium of the Rishis, the personality of Godhead accepted the third empowered incarnation in the form of Devarshi Narada, who is a great sage among the demigods. So Narada Muni is the spiritual master of the Devatas in the higher planets. So Narada Muni he propagates devotional service all over the universe. Not only this universe, in many other universes. So Narada Muni, he is the son of Lord Brahma, and he travels all over the universe, and he preaches the glories of the Lord. He preaches to every living entity, and makes them devotees of Krishna. So Narada Muni has made many devotees throughout the universe, just like uh, Prahlad Maharaj, and then uh, Dhruva Maharaj, and then there was this hunter Mrigari. So Narada is always looking for souls who are ready to become devotees of Krishna. The rebellious souls who do not respect the God or his representative cannot be so easily delivered. But the souls who are respectful to God or his devotees, there is a chance for them if they hear with submission and inquiry. Just like the example of Mrigari, he was a very cruel hunter. He used to kill animals half dead, and he used to get great pleasure in seeing the animals suffer. So such a cruel hunter was delivered by Narada Muni. When Narada Muni came to the forest where the Mrigari was killing the animals, he was shooting the animals with the bow and arrow. So Narada Muni saw how he was killing the animals half dead. So Mrigari, he saw that this saintly person has come, and in the first he was very angry, because when Narada Muni came, all the animals that he had killed, he had put a net for the animals to be captured. They all fled away. So he was actually initially very angry towards him. But when he saw Narada Muni, he understood that he is not an ordinary person. He is a very great saintly person. So he immediately became very submissive to him and respectfully asked him that, why are you here, and how I can help you, and because of you, my all these animals which I have killed, they have gone away. So Narada Muni said that, why are you killing these animals half dead? Why don't you kill them completely? Because by killing them half dead, you are putting them into so much suffering. And by giving such suffering to others, this is a great sin. And because of that, you will also have to suffer the reactions in your future life. So the Mrigari, the hunter, he understood that actually what I am doing is very sinful, and in future I will have to suffer the same reactions. The way I have given pain to these animals, I will also receive that same pain. So he submitted to Narada Muni, and he surrendered to Narada Muni, and he became his disciple. So he asked Narada Muni, what can I do to free myself from the sinful reactions? And then Narada Muni gave him the solution that you break your bow and arrow, and you just follow my instructions. So Narada Muni, he has given the supreme instructions of devotional service in the Narada Pancharatra. This is the he compiled this literature, for the living entities to practice devotional service. So this Narada Pancharatra is a very important literature for devotees, for the persons to become free from the conditioned state. Conditioned state means every living entity in this material world is conditioned by the laws of nature and by his desire is to enjoy the fruits of his work. So because of this tendency to enjoy the fruits of one's work, one is creating so many actions and reactions. So to correct this tendency of this fruitive mentality, I work hard and I want to enjoy the result. There is a meaning of fruitive actions. So as long as we have this desire to enjoy fruitive results, we are creating new and new reactions. And by these reactions, we are creating new bodies. Means we have to take birth again in the next life to enjoy or suffer the reactions of our work. So the only solution to become free from all reactions of work is actually by acting in Krishna consciousness, acting for the pleasure of Lord Krishna. So when we perform activities not for our own sense gratification but for the satisfaction of Krishna, then we can become free from all reactions of work. Because whatever reactions, either good or bad, we have to suffer or enjoy, and we have to take birth again and again. And this taking birth, this repetition of birth and death is actually a suffering condition. But the conditioned soul actually never, he doesn't realize this. So he keeps on, running after this material sense enjoyment, life after life. So Krishna also says in Bhagavad-gita that after many, many births, one understands actually that this material world is actually a place of suffering, and I cannot actually get eternal enjoyment. I cannot be eternally happy. And then he starts inquiring about what is his real position and why he is suffering in this material world. And when such a soul who is inquiring about his condition, when he comes in contact with a bona fide spiritual master, he understands the truth that Vasudevam Sarvam Iti, that the origin of everything is Vasudeva, Krishna, and By understanding this, he surrenders to him. So only when one surrenders to Krishna, he can become free from all his sinful reactions. So if we want to achieve eternal happiness, eternal freedom, freedom from all anxieties, freedom from all kinds of material miseries, we have to simply accept, to surrender to Lord Krishna. Sarva dharman parityaja maam ekam sharanam raja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksheshyami mahasucha. So Krishna says in Bhagavad-gita also that simply surrender to me and become my devotee. I will free you from all sinful reactions and ultimately I will give you liberation. So this is the real purpose of the scriptures. Bhagavad-gita and all Vedic scriptures, they aim to free this conditioned soul, and so that he returns back to his original home in the spiritual world, that is back to Godhead. So in this way, we can become completely free from the threefold miseries and enjoy an eternal blissful life in the kingdom of God. So in this age of Kali Yuga, which is the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, it is very difficult for a person to come to the spiritual platform. So the Narada Muni has given the simple process of devotional service, by which following one can come to he can acquire the Brahminical qualities and come to the topmost position, spiritual platform, and very quickly achieve Krishna consciousness. Because in this age of Kali, everyone is a Shudra, means by birth. So how one can acquire Brahminical qualities? If one is born in a Shudra family, or if he is born in a very sinful family. So Narada Muni has given the process in his Narada Pancharatra, that one, if he follows the process of devotional service, he can come to the spiritual platform, the Brahma Bhuta platform, and he can be liberated from this material world. So this is a very easy process in this age of Kali Yuga, by simply chanting Hare Krishna mantra and following the instructions of spiritual master Prabhupada, who comes in the disciplic succession from Narada Muni. So we can simply follow the instructions given by Prabhupada and go back to Godhead, go back to the eternal world to enjoy eternity, bliss and knowledge. So that is the purpose of the Vedic scriptures. So we have to follow the instructions of Vedic scriptures because it is the authority and it is a perfect knowledge. Unlike all other knowledge which is imperfect. Okay, so I'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.